Hi, I'm Joan Craig with Choose Joyful Health, and today we're here with Ryan Merck, who is an expert in organic farming and also organic farming certifications. And he's not only an avid gardener, and we're going to get to see his beautiful garden today, but he also has worked for 4 certifying agencies. And so that means he has reviewed the types of information and the types of guidelines that a farm has to complete to get the USDA organic certification. And in addition, Ryan studied horticulture at Clemson University and worked for the South Carolina Botanical Garden and also the Department of Plant Industry. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. I'm excited.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I'm really grateful because I love the birds and the bees, and we live on a lake, and so I'm really interested in water quality and just the health of our ecosystem. And then I'm also interested from the standpoint of nutrition. Mm-hmm. I'm coaching people to make healthy choices, so we want to make sure that we're really on the right track with those choices. So tell us how you originally got interested in organic agriculture and organic farming and what your passions are about it.
Right. So when I went through school, I was really going through school in the conventional ornamental horticulture. And so it was a very chemical, pesticide intensive system. And so I started the botanical garden kind of with that mindset. And through conversations with and exposure to all of the horticulturists at the botanical garden, they really exposed me to how important a native functional ecosystem is and how to incorporate that into a landscape. And so, that exposure really instilled an environmental ethic in ornamental horticulture for me. And then out of that, eventually I ended up working kind of alongside the farm manager at the Clemson Organic Farm. Mm-hmm. And in those conversations with him, as he was, using a greenhouse at the botanical garden, we, in ornamental horticulture, we did a lot of the pesticide management of managing pesticide resistance. And so, we'd apply this pesticide and hopefully we didn't apply it so much that there would be a resistant pest. So to prevent that, we would rotate this pesticide with this pesticide and then back to this pesticide. And, it was this very intensive management system, making sure that we were managing pesticides in a way that, one, hopefully there was as little impact as possible, but you were doing it in a way that prevented pesticide resistance from developing in whatever pest was running through your greenhouses or nursery. And it was really interesting to have those conversations because I was spending a lot of energy in pesticide resistance, thought energy, and Sean was spending a lot of thought energy on managing ecosystems around his planting so that it was bringing in beneficial insects. There were mechanical and cultural approaches to managing all those pests instead of the rotation of pesticides. And it was really interesting to hear how intelligent that system is when it all works together, and I don't know, it seemed like a much better way to spend your thought energy on that instead of
it's really like a challenge, like it's a
right.
creative challenge and an intellectual challenge to think beyond. I'm just kind of going with the flow with the thoughts here. It just sounds like the pesticide management system you were doing before was like always treating a symptom almost. Sounds like a Band-Aid, right? Whereas this organic system that you were exposed to was like, wait, let's look more holistically, big picture. And
over the past 6 years, I mean, working, going to organic farms, doing their inspections, talking to organic farmers, it's really inspiring to see a farmer when they have a pest issue, to look at what is this pest, why is this pest here, is there something this pest would prefer, if not,
Like give it something else to eat.
yeah. Or is it here because of something that I did? Did I make too lush of a planting? Too big of a planting? Is there another host plant that it would prefer if it was in a pollinator border on somewhere else on the farm? Would it prefer to be there instead of on the cash crop that I want to grow? And is there some other beneficial insect or something that might help suppress that population of whatever the pest is back into a manageable level that the farm can continue to operate and be financially sustainable while still having this pest exist and live out its life.
Let's not kill it. Let's just divert it.
Yeah,
Get it to go somewhere else, or distract
usually
it.
problems don't arise in diverse ecosystems. In most cases, from an abundance of one pest pressure or disease, unless there's something that throws that ecosystem out of balance. And so if you work to have the farm ecosystem to be a diverse ecosystem that is in balance, then a lot of time just natural predation and pressures are going to keep every population in balance.
That makes sense. So really, it sounds like some of the pest issues, we've created them by having massive farms of one crop. And the pests say, oh, it's like a dessert buffet, and they just go there.
And expecting incredible yields.
Yeah.
Expecting, 200 bushels of corn an acre. I mean, that's an incredible yield to be
maybe unrealistic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or unsustainable. We use the word sustainable a lot, but maybe that's an appropriate use of that word.
Yeah. Sustainable is an interesting word because it can mean so many different things to so many different people.
So what does it mean for you in farming?
I try to avoid using the word sustainable.
It's kind of vague, huh?
Well, because sustainable for one person may mean environmentally sustainable, but sustainable for a farmer may be financially sustainable.
Feed their family.
Yeah. And it all depends on what and how you're trying to sustain. So,
well, that kind of leads into another question that I have, and some of these questions are from me personally, and some people submitted when I was going to talk to you, and some are more things I hear people say. And I've heard people say that they don't believe in the organic certification because if I'm a farmer and I have a choice of having my crop succeed and be able to pay for my family's needs that season, versus even if it's an organic farmer who has ethics and values and wants to do the right thing, and that's a whole nother conversation of whether this is ethical to farm organically. So I mean, that's a tough call. I mean, what's my choice? Do I need to pay for my children to have the things they need that season, or am I going to, and if I could just this once? So I mean, you're out there, you're going to the farms, so you're checking to make sure that all of the standards are in place. So what's your response to that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The organic regulations, they require a tiered pest control management system. So that's built into the regulations. So pest management, disease management, weed management, it has to start with mechanical and cultural controls. So physical removal, exclusion, trapping, all of that kind of thing first.
We're talking about bugs.
Yeah, bugs, weeds, or diseases.
Okay.
So all of that's the first step. And then the second step is moving on to non-synthetic controls. So this would be biological controls, Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, that's a fungal pesticide that's used quite often throughout
So
the
it is a
organic.
pesticide, but it came from a plant.
Yeah,
not
so it's a
chemical one.
fungus.
Okay, and
Yeah.
those are allowed.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that would be allowed as a second tier, or spinosad as a bacterium that kills a target group of pests. So that would be second. The third step is synthetics off the national list. So on the national list, there are the list of allowed inputs that are used, and so this can be there aren't any synthetic pesticides on the national list.
The national list of approved for organic farms.
Yeah, and so
Okay,
this is
okay.
a section of the organic regulations. But there are things like synthetic pheromones that can be used in bait stations. So you can, or
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm thinking about a bug getting a pheromone and being like, "Hey, I want to go over there."
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It basically attracts them. Okay.
and mating disruption.
Oh, interesting.
So
you
there-
are messing with Mother Nature, but it's
Yeah.
different than spraying mass.
Right,
Yeah.
and so that's that third step. The important part to understand, and I think the important part to wrap your head around all that is that those steps, they have to be outlined in your organic system plan. And so your organic system plan is this document of how is my farm going to run on paper.
Like a business plan, but for specific. Yeah.
And so my job in working with a certification agency is to take that plan and review it and say, okay, is this plan in compliance with the regulations? And two, are these reasonable steps to prevent the pest, the disease, the weed from happening?
Is it going to work?
And so, are you putting the thought energy up front to keep your farm out of trouble?
Right.
And getting into that situation of, okay, I'm forced to either I'm going to lose a crop or, spray a synthetic pesticide. And usually when farmers put that energy up front, it minimizes the problems that they have because they've incorporated all of these cultural and mechanical controls up front. And also they've thought more about managing risk. And so there's not as many situations where a farmer gets into, I need this one crop
I understand.
to keep my family afloat.
So that's really reassuring. And so you basically answered my question by saying that's the whole point.
Right.
The organic certification process is helping that farmer not get in that situation, and they actually can walk the talk that's on paper and do it.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So they do. It's interesting too. I think a lot of people. I had read that, but I'd forgotten that there are actually some herbicides that are allowed, but they're on the safer end of the spectrum. And it's a kind of like you said, they're trying these other things first. So thank you.
And I mean, anybody who's interested in that, I think it's great to read the national list and see what's actually on there. Like, there's not any synthetic pesticides. There's no synthetic herbicides on there. There are soaps and insecticidal soaps and that kind of stuff that
You can. I always heard you could spray use your dishwater and put it in your garden, and it helps some
Right.
bugs stay away.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff on the national list is actually sanitizers and that kind of thing. So chlorine is allowed as a sanitizer in organic production. So
Yeah, it's for more after.
a lot of
after
it
harvest,
is post-harvest handling, and also on the national list, it's very specific of what things can be used for
Right.
as well. So it's not just hey, I can use copper anytime, anywhere. It's no, you can use copper specifically for this disease control when these other steps have been done first.
Cool.